Look, I think in so let's maybe take a step back. The overall opportunity in India starts with the fact that we've been a country that's largely been fragmented forever, and so we haven't had organized channels to actually access products. And so organized retail, when I first came to India, was at about 4%, and that was all offline modern trade. Today, organized retail in general has moved up to 12%, and half of that is coming in the online channel, which is great, and we've seen that work. And whereas the offline channel has gone from 4% to 6%, a 2 percentage point increase. Now, when you think about the online organization that's taken place, in general, e-commerce hasn't demonstrated an opportunity to make money. If we look at even Amazon in the US or globally, a fair amount of what they make as money comes from AWS and other services as opposed to e-commerce in general. So e-commerce is a enabler to get to other things once you get to scale and once you get to a certain point. Now, understanding that that's what e-commerce has been, now you take that a step further and say, I'm going to get into quick commerce and start to deliver things even faster and try to get even better at this. I think that even the large players in it, whether it's been an Amazon or Flipkart, have taken their time in considering how to get into it. While a lot of the other guys, I mean, I think the one that's doing the best is actually offsetting a lot of costs between what they're doing with Blinkit and what they're doing with Zomato. I think that gives that ability to kind of have a second line of business to actually ensure that you can do some of this somewhat profitably. So I would say that, look, it's a concern for me as to where this goes over time. I think consumers are loving it, and I think it's demonstrated in the fact that we were talking to someone in the pharmacy space. They said that 40% of their deliveries are now in that quick category. Whereas, you really wonder why, if I was going to give it to you in 2 hours, why do you need it in 10 minutes? What's the need? And the majority of their patients are chronic. So there's clearly a desire from customers to have it. And what they actually told me was they were finding ways to charge the customer for it. So if it wasn't explicit, it was in some fee or something. So I do believe over time, one of two things will happen. Either fees will come in a either explicit or implicit way to cover the cost of it, which may reduce customer adoption and may move it at a different pace, or money will have to continue to be used to subsidize it. And that's the reality. One more thing I'll add here is in India, the other dynamic is your competition is Kirana shops, and these mom and pop shops have an amazing cost structure. They have most times no rent, no overhead expenses. They don't pay marketing costs, and they many times still under a certain level, so don't even pay taxes. So to compete against that is very challenging. That guy delivers to me anything I want, whenever I want, and doesn't charge me for it, and doesn't have to bear any other overheads of compliance or corporate overheads or anything. So I think when you think about the competition and you think about how they're going to apply, it's not just the universe of funded, organized quick commerce players. It's also the universe of just Kirana shops that have existed forever. I think storytelling is central to everything. And I think a brand is its story. And I do also believe that the product that you create has to be worth it, has to merit a story, and has to really ensure that there is some differentiation. I think that too much of, let's say, contract manufacturing and easy distribution enabled stuff that truly wasn't differentiated. And people were trying to get by just by getting an influencer and gaming a system and running it in a certain way. And I think that that's not a brand. That's just a flash in the pan for a while. And I think the businesses, let's start with, have to focus first on their core product. Is the product actually good? I think that's what's been amazing. Nua's product is great, and that's shown in the retention numbers for the business. Their month 12 retention numbers are fantastic. People are word of mouth proliferates it. That's the best kind of advertising you can get. Now, in a world, and you said earlier, right, in a world where social media is very hard to trust, because and who is really an influencer, and who do you want to buy into stuff? It's getting very convoluted, and I can appreciate that because consumers are saying, listen, I don't want this nonsense. And I just want to get stuff, because people have probably also been duped. You go online, you see something, you say, hey, I'm going to buy this, you buy it. Turns out it's not even a company, right? And so there's enough scams, enough ways to do this, that trust becomes really important. Storytelling becomes important. What your product is become important. So yeah, Nua did a great job with both product and then also staying true to their brand, which was getting a spokesperson who talked about busting myths around menstruation and making sure that they stayed true to what their belief system is. I think that I'll give you another example you didn't mention, but Zeno. I think Zeno has a great opportunity to build a story around what should the price of medicine really be, what should the cost of healthcare really be, and try to cultivate trust among customers that they have their best interests at heart. So I do think in a world where there's a lot of noise, trust is necessary to be built. Trust gets built by the pillar of your product and by how you're able to tell a story around it and stay consistent to a value system. I mean, I think it comes back to so let's start first with Indian brands, the opportunity to scale in India first, which is great. And because we don't have a lot of incumbent large brands, you have the chance to really build your story here and stand for something. Now, we have such a great heritage to stand for and such a great, again, set of stories that form the culture, the colors, the vibrance, the sound. All of that comes with part of what India means. And India, I think, has been growing in terms of soft power over the past decade, whether it's been in terms of movies, whether it's in terms of songs. And so all of that is, or in terms of, honestly, leadership at companies, right? So Indians are very much present globally. And so therefore, I think people are much more intrigued and interested by it. Now we're creating great quality product. The Ghana is the Jugad mindset of we'll just cobble things together and whatever works. Indians don't really care. We'll just sell it. Now Indians have had options, and now Indian companies are saying, I can build this world-class product. I can do it. And then we can take it abroad. And going abroad has a dual effect because as much as Indians are very proud of Indian companies and Indian products, they are also very aspirational. And if that product is also getting traction in another market, that creates another sense of desire for that brand saying, wow, this is the company and the brand that's taking our culture to the world. And I think that brings a feedback loop that's even more positive again. So I think that opportunity is happening now. By the way, you mentioned Bombay Shirt Company, Nua is now also finding traction with that in the Middle East for sanitary pads there, in a category like that as well. We're going to see Lenscart, not in our portfolio, but we've seen them expand across the world. So I think that as we get good and as we get to scale in our businesses and as we create products that are truly differentiated, we have an amazing backdrop of a cultural story to take to other countries and to build and to sell a product against. I don't think that it's really a brand problem in the sense that so India's growth has been very consumption led, which has been great. And our debt to savings ratio is low. So we've not been ones to take on a lot of debt. I think we have a regulator in the RBI that does a great job of actually ensuring that there's fiscal responsibility in the system. And therefore, I think that they've managed how debt has been made available in different ways in which it's proliferated. And I think that that's generally been healthy for the country. So now as a brand, it's not really my place to tell you whether or not to buy on credit. You want to buy on credit, that's your choice. I think that merchant fees and all of this are part and parcel of how you're going to transact, and that'll be incorporated into the cost of whatever is given there. The bigger question, I think there was a point in the data study that said that while Gen Z customers said that they are living, I won't say hand to mouth, but pretty much have a low cash flow on a monthly basis, they still indicated a willingness to splurge. Yeah. So I think it's a mindset shift that said that, look, it's okay, I'll make it up in the future. We'll be fine. It'll be all right. And actually, if you look at it, that seems to be how the world operates in general. World economies are going that way. Everyone talks about the debt of countries, right? And how they're in trouble. So I think that mindset is there. That mindset will drive consumption. I'm actually more comfortable with it in India than in other countries per se, or than in the US, for example, because I think here, culturally also there's a aversion to being in debt. And so therefore I think it'll be managed. But in the meanwhile, hopefully it continues to drive growth and adoption for a lot of new brands that exist.